Hey, hello. You're stuck in trouble with Wolf Gorlick, few minutes riffing on IT and IT security. Today, looking at the Huawei backdoor found by Vodafone. I used to be very into backdoors. I used to be very into covert channels. I used to be very into steganography. I used to write an app called Incog. I'm actually not sure if the code's still around or not, but the idea was I would, see backdoors in the news and reverse engineer them, and I'd build it in this library and demonstrate it. And I stopped doing it. I stopped doing it because it got boring. Because two things. One, just about any backdoor covert channel you write is not going to be detected. So there's that. Two, most all of the ones that were featured in the news or that I read about were things so incredibly simple. So incredibly simple that they should have been detected or stopped in any number of ways. And criminals weren't doing anything really advanced, right? They're just doing basic things. The tip for you is this. Beware when you read the news, or beware when you hear about the latest attacks, or beware when you hear about any of the buzz. Because it always sounds fancy, doesn't it? It always sounds really sneaky. It always sounds really complex. But realistically, in trying to chase those fancy, scary things and address it, if we don't do the basics, we're not in a very good spot. And by the basics, I mean incredibly basic. The basic of basics. The most basic of basic things. Please do those. For example, you may have heard recently in the news that Vodafone, and this was covered in Bloomberg, Vodafone had identified that Huawei had backdoors in the routers. And by the way, this backdoor was identified in equipment that was hosting, the core phone switching networks in Europe. Now, hackers are excited about this, right? I mean, phone systems, it's like our roots, man. You remember Matrix and war games? You pick up the phone, you hardwire in. Phone systems were at risk from a backdoor, and you're like, backdoor. It's probably like some weird cipher, or maybe it's a covert channel, like we send a packet and the packet comes back, or maybe it's some side channel thing going. No, you know what it was? It's reported in the reg. The backdoor in the phone system was Telnet. Again, the most basic of basics. Now, I'm not saying that the criminals were exploiting it. I'm not saying that it really was a backdoor, not just part of normal diagnostics. But let's just say for a minute that criminals were using Telnet as a backdoor. Why would they do that? Well, one is because of what I was saying earlier. So many organizations don't have that infrastructure in place. If someone was using a Telnet backdoor in your environment, would you know? Would you get alerted on it? Would it be blocked by your firewalls? Do you have egress filtering on your firewalls if you're in an internal network? Or like I was talking about the other day, maybe it's Telnet off of something that doesn't even have a firewall. It's outside of your control altogether. Criminals don't do incredibly scary, spooky attacks because criminals don't need to do incredibly spooky, scary attacks. If the basics work, even if it's something like Telnet, we're rolling with the basics. What do you think? A, about this backdoor, and B, about our ability to see even basic exfiltration techniques like Telnet and other ways to get data out of sensitive networks or to do command and control? Hit me up in comments or social media. Cheers.